I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to welcome everyone to the Lower Gwinnett Board of Supervisors regular public meeting for Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. The Board of Supervisors met in executive session prior to tonight's meeting to discuss matters of personnel related to hiring and union matters, potential litigation related to emergency services, real estate related to the planned public works facility and parks, and supervisor training. As an announcement, BET will present plans for the proposed redevelopment of the Springhouse Corporate Center at the April 15th Planning Commission meeting at 7 p.m. The meeting will be live streamed, but participants must attend in person to ask questions or provide comments. Check our website for the live streaming link.
So we have been able to work it out tomorrow night for the Planning Commission meeting. For anybody who's interested, it will be a regular Zoom meeting like this, so full participation if people are participating virtually. We weren't sure we were going to be able to pull that off for that meeting, but we can.
Oh, so now it's full participation.
Full
They can
participation.
comment.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
If you want to ask questions or provide comments, you will be able to via the Zoom link. Check our website for the Zoom link. The Zoning Hearing Board will hold a public hearing on April 16th at 6 p.m. to consider a zoning variance. No. And that has now been canceled. So we're now going to move on to public comments. This is citizens' comments, questions, or concerns or items not on the agenda. Okay. Next up is going to be a discussion about the proposed changes to Lower Gwinnett's draft 2045 comprehensive plan and consideration to authorize to repeat the adoption process. So we did, I guess, March 24th, had a meeting where the comprehensive plan was presented by Claire Warner from the Montgomery County Planning Commission, and our board packet kind of identifies the proposed revisions. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Or discussion? None? Okay. Questions, comments, or discussion from the public? You just need to come up to the microphone and state your name and address. If you could just hold the microphone, I'm sorry, nobody online will be able to hear you.
Map up on the screen that showed high density, 2 areas of high density apartments. I believe everybody in attendance was against that. And I just want to know where we stand with high density housing.
So the memo that was included in our board packet, and I believe it was online, is also included on the screen. Maybe it's gone. One of the paragraphs starts off by saying one of the key issues raised at the hearing concerned the high density housing shown in conceptual redevelopment illustration included in the plan, which is, I think, the map you're talking about. While the illustrations were intended to provide examples of potential redevelopment scenarios, they caused confusion and have since been removed with the revision noted during the review period.
We're not looking to high density areas.
So I think what maybe part of the confusion is that was never what the illustration was trying to depict. It was articulating where high density could be in Lower Gwinnett, and it was showing a conceptual redevelopment illustration. So that has been removed. That's not going to be included in the comprehensive plan as it stands now. If you could just, I'm sorry, if you could just hold the microphone, you just pull it up. There you go.
It seems like a lot of the items that people have problems with are lumped into other categories that are still part of the plan. So township required sign on to county's comprehensive plan, most of the points of it? Or are we allowed to just do what we wish with that plan that makes it unique to Lower Gwinnett?
So I think what you're asking, and correct me if I'm wrong, the county planning commission is who we contracted with to provide us consulting services to actually guide us in the development of a comprehensive plan. So this plan that we have is the one that was developed through that consultation, through that comprehensive plan advisory committee, through feedback from the public, through the surveys. This is unique to Lower Gwinnett.
Point for point for the counties.
No, you're talking about the one that the county commissioner, like the county as a whole, not necessarily.
So it's still category, mixed use or.
So, and I don't know if they're all online. I don't think that they are, but our 2000 comprehensive plan and our 1987 comprehensive plan do talk about high density housing, do talk about mixed use to some degree. So this is not inconsistent with comprehensive plans that we've had in the past. Gwen Air, Gwen Hunt.
The only one of its kind, yeah. And I got the impression it was, very densely populated landscape. So I wondered if that would suffice for multi-use.
So the comprehensive plan doesn't identify specific types of development, like what is it, Gwen Air? What it does, and this addresses, I think, also Mr. Memis's question, is it identifies categories for different areas. So the giant shopping center that everybody asked about at our 2 meetings ago was identified as high density mixed use. We've gotten rid of all of the high, low, and mid density characterizations in the new comprehensive plan. Mixed use is still there. And the only way, this is my opinion from 10 years of speaking with developers, the only way we're going to be able to do anything with Bethlehem Pike or anywhere else is to have some sort of mixed use. What the density of it is a different question. That's not for the comprehensive plan. That's part of the zoning ordinance. We're going to get to that at a later date. It was never supposed to be part of this discussion. All we're doing now is putting forth ideas, as Ms. Duckett said, of what could go in these places. Doesn't mean they're going to go in these places. The township is not a developer. We wouldn't be able to develop it anyway. We're only saying these are ideas for these areas. So to Ms. Duckett's point, we've changed it based on the feedback we received 2 meetings ago. All of the characterization of the density is removed. But whether it's mixed use, I think is in pink in the plan, that still is in different areas of the township. That's still part of the comprehensive plan.
We do have mixed use right now.
Mixed use just means a mix of different uses. So could be commercial mixed with residential, mixed with recreation, mixed with institutional. Otherwise, if it's not mixed use, those zoning areas are sort of exclusive and those other uses can't come into that area. So it doesn't mean it has to be residential mixed with retail, or it's just that it would permit different uses in one zoning district.
So right now along Bethlehem Pike, it is mixed use. They're on top of some of those buildings you see, there are apartments currently.
Right.
And
Where the Wawa
where the Wawa is, there's apartments up there.
Fairlands across from Bergie's, that's a mixed use. And all we've done is we've identified other areas where mixed use would
Could
be
be.
appropriate based on 2+ years of feedback and meetings with the community and surveys.
So the zoning part, which we were showing in an illustration and was a recommendation, but it was just really to show what it could look like, I think is what a lot of people reacted to. But it was not us identifying that it actually is going to be high density. And I know that that may have been communicated to some people inaccurately, and that caused a lot of alarm, and that's why I think we got the feedback that we got. But the zoning is always going to happen at a separate meeting, at a separate process when we start to actually talk about zoning changes. So as it stands right now, nothing's really changed. You just don't see the illustration. You don't see that characterization of high density. But even if we put that characterization of high density, doesn't mean anything. Until you do the zoning change, putting it in a plan doesn't actually mean anything.
And whether they really were interested in forming us to be in line with their plan.
So I think there's going to be like a little bit of a SWOT analysis as it relates to, was it a good thing? Was it a bad thing? Were there strengths and were there weaknesses to it? I think one of the benefits of utilizing the county is they're dealing with all of the communities around us. So they have a better understanding than an outside consultant as to what's happening in Ambler, what's happening in Upper Gwinnett, what's happening in Horsham and Upper Dublin, and they can bring that conversation to the table. I wouldn't deny that they maybe have a bias that they present as it relates to what they feel could be best, but that's why we had an advisory committee made up of Lower Gwinnett residents, individuals that live here, work here, and that know what our community looks like and what it could look like in the future. So taking all of their input into consideration had to go through that advisory committee and had to have our feedback. And that's why we were so proactive, purposefully, of engaging with the public as best we could, to ask for feedback and ask for input. So an outside consultant has one benefit, to give you a product. I think the county had a unique perspective to be invested the same way we are invested in creating a better community, trying to be understanding that we're all interconnected. What we do in Lower Gwinnett is going to impact Ambler, is going to impact Upper Gwinnett and our neighbors, Maple Glen and so forth and so on. So I think they had that unique perspective, but that's just my opinion. I don't know if anybody else.
Well, I'd add a couple of things to follow up on that. The county didn't have a vote on the comprehensive plan. They just helped guide us. They were 50% less expensive than any other comprehensive planner.
It's very true.
The steering committee included at least 2 multiple generation residents who have from the township, both of whom were developers. So we took not just a cross section of the township, but people who have lived here a really, really long time.
Yeah. No, we were very vocal about what we wouldn't accept. Thank you. Any additional comments? I
Somebody
think
else.
there's one online. Mr. Thomas, can you hear me?
Yes, hey, can you hear me now? And I just wanted to let you know that I could not hear the speakers very well, so that might be a problem.
Mr. Thomas, before you start, could you state your name and your address,
Sure.
please?
Jim Thomas, Lamplighter Lane, talking about the changes in our long-range plan, especially the Giant Center, and designating that as mixed use versus just as it is right now, commercial. Can you comment on whether that could be just remaining as commercial rather than changing to mixed use? The Giant Center and the Whole Foods area in particular.
Do you mean whether it will remain that way in the plan or whether it will remain that way in actuality?
No, what I was wondering is, would you entertain changing the long range plan so that the Giant Center and the Whole Foods shopping center remain as as what is it, retail, rather than changing to mixed use.
Okay, I understand.
And may I speak to that?
So I just want to make sure that I'm clear. You want to know if we will change it in the comprehensive plan, which does not preclude the owners from coming in front of us and asking to change it to mixed use. You're asking us to just in the plan, change it to commercial, explicitly not allowing it by right to ever change. Again, the plan does not change the zoning, just so we're clear.
Yes, and uh, I'm wondering if that would be a better long range plan for our community to keep that as commercial rather than designating that as mixed use at this time. I understand the mixed use areas may be beneficial to be able to revitalize the Bethlehem Pike area near Rich's other place and the other diners and things like that. But in that other area, the Giant and the Whole Foods, that seems to be inviting more, as we saw in the plan, the high density use, and I don't think that should be in our plan at this time. Is that warranted for consideration to change that back to commercial?
Why do you think it shouldn't be mixed use? We
Because
haven't even talked about the density, but why do you think it should be mixed use?
Because of the you can see the traffic patterns and the I guess the crash densities and things like that in the local area, and it seems like putting additional housing in that area close to choke points is going to be more of a is going to tie up our traffic and more. So I think that is better off being just commercial at this time. It's kind of it's kind of like if the where the Aldi is in Horsham and and where the Whole Foods was in Horsham, if that turns into apartment buildings along with the other with commercial zoning, it may be quite a bit more challenging for the residents in the area.
What do you base that on? Well, what do you base the belief that residential will bring more traffic or anything else than just purely retail commercial?
Just seeing what's happening in Philadelphia. If you look at the waterfront in Philadelphia, it's being there are numerous high-rise apartment living along with mixed use on the local waterfront there. It seemed to almost develop overnight, and well, that may be okay for the downtown Philadelphia area, but that may not be appropriate for Lower Gwynedd.
So I just want to be clear, you're talking about the entirety of the shopping center that is now Giant, Sherman-Williams, and Whole Foods. On either side, it's flanked by residential. And to the rear, it is flanked by, property that it's going to be industrial for all intent and purposes. Yeah, a lab.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's going to be industrial. So in essence, whether we do nothing, it is going to be mixed use. Maybe not that actual parcel, but that whole area has residential and will have industrial lab. I don't know if that's categorized different. But it's not going to create something that's outside of the ordinary.
I understand
Meaning Trellin Reserve is right to the right of the Giant. Honestly, a stone throw away. Gwen Air and Gwen Hunt are right across the street on the other side. And behind them on Moore Drive, the former Siemens property has just been purchased by Johnson & Johnson. So you're asking us to take a small square within that generalized area and not identify that it could be mixed use. Is that what your recommendation is?
I think just keeping it as commercial at this time, understanding that the length of Bethlehem Pike may be better suited for mixed use. near Rich's other place and the other diners in that area.
Okay. I mean, I appreciate your feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we should make it clear, mixed use doesn't mean high density. And I think there's confusion that if it's labeled mixed use, that it's going to be high density. That's not the case. I think that should be clarified.
I mean, we removed all density language from the comprehensive plan in totality after the past meeting on April 24th.
And mixed use is defined in the plan as, I'll just read it.
You want to read it? Yeah.
Pedestrian-friendly existing commercial sites typically on busier roads that allow for flexibility of uses to serve residents. Uses may include a mix of retail, service, office, and institutional uses, as well as residential. Adaptive reuse of historic buildings is encouraged. Uses can be mixed within a building. Streetscape design will help create attractive, walkable, and engaging places. So it doesn't necessarily contemplate the images that were placed in the original draft plan, which I understand has wakened a lot of the public to wanting to provide significant feedback on this. And I encourage you to stay involved when we have these zoning discussions and are further defining what does density mean? What does mixed use mean? Is residential permitted here? And what kind of residential should be permitted here? Because it's my understanding that that's the next step.
Yes.
Thanks. And just as a follow-up, I guess we're spending a lot of time kind of keeping track of what's going on right now. And once it gets designated as not just commercial, but commercial with residential, then we as residents may have to be what I would call hyper vigilant, and in terms of figuring out when this thing could go into a building that was such as the one that was presented on the plans or on the proposed plans. So
Yeah.
And that's why I was suggesting to keep that as commercial so that we don't have to be hyper vigilant about that property.
But that
This-
kind of go
I
ahead.
was just going to say that this isn't a change in zoning, even if the comprehensive plan maps it out as mixed use. For the zoning to change, it will be, I mean, and we understand how important this is to the residents. So we try very hard to communicate these types of changes when they're actually changes that are being made to the public by email, by social media.
There would be a requirement to
And, well, of
advertise,
course,
and there's going to
yeah.
be a hearing, and then we would communicate that even more explicitly. I think you're finding comfort in the idea that if the comprehensive plan doesn't say it, that it can't come before the board, and that's incorrect. So even if it's not in our comprehensive plan, the owner of the property could make a determination that they wanted to change and do something different, and they would come before the board for conditional use. That happens all the time, and we're seeing that happen right now. So the comprehensive plan is really to guide the board and the community about purposefully planning, updating their zoning, and determining what they could or would like in a specific area. The plan in and of itself changes nothing. It creates a plan. And then the plan still has to be acted on. We still have to execute on the plan. And if we decided to execute on mixed use in that specific zoning area, we would have advertisement, we would have a public meeting, we would have a public hearing. We would let you know well in advance, and there wouldn't need to necessarily be a reason for you to be hypervigilant, just maybe engaged in the process. I'm sorry, sir. You just have to state your name, and if you could pull it out, because I think online they can't hear you. That's what they're saying. I'm just, it's not on. It's not on. I think that's what the issue is. Is it green?
We can
Now
hear
it's
you.
green. Can you hear
There
me?
it is. Yeah.
All right. Tony Memis, Cleaver Road. So when you say you have so first of all, I'd like to say you send out emails. The last meeting I was at, a sheet was sent around for everybody to put their email on, and I received no communication through that.
So I'm assuming
Ours.
it wasn't us that were circulating an email list. That was somebody else in the crowd.
Okay.
But you
Thank
fell
you.
for that. I'm sorry,
You,
sir.
you can go onto
Thank
our
you.
website and opt in.
Jamie, can you show
You-
them right now?
You
If
can
you
go
can
into
show them
our,
right
yeah,
now.
you can opt in and get email. I get emails constantly.
So Jamie,
Stop on
Jamie is
today.
going to
Okay.
show you how to do it. And it's to sign up for our listserv, and this is how we communicate.
You would just put an ad, you would set up, you would put your email address, you would create a password, and then you'll get an email that confirms. And once you confirm, you'll get anything you sign up for. So any of our alerts, any of our news blast, any
Awesome.
calendar invites, that type of thing. So
Awesome. Thank you.
And just one more thing, Mr.
Sure.
Memis. Our website is lowergwinnett.org. Okay.
Mhm.
We're required to list every public meeting that we have and the agenda for the public meeting. I don't know if it's hyper vigilant to check the website once a week. If you check the website once a week for 30 seconds, you'll find out everything that's going on in the township.
Mhm.
All the upcoming meetings are generally on the homepage, but the recordings of every meeting we have, can you show them, Jamie, really quick? The board packet that we're going to talk about at each meeting is available for you ahead of the meeting, so you can read it and process it.
Awesome.
The recordings of the actual meetings previous are all there, I think back to 2020. And the minutes of the meeting are there as well. So that packet is it pink or red? The red, it comes out before the meeting, and you'll see everything that's on our agenda, not just a piece of paper, but all the contents of the memos. So you can read about it and know about it and be informed about what we're going to talk about before we're going to talk about it.
Awesome.
So all of that is online. I know that we are asking you to do a little bit of engagement by going there, but it is all there laid out for you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mhm.
So when you talk about you have a plan is the stepping stone to a goal. So to us, when you have a plan to change it from commercial to residential multi-use, when that's your plan, that is your goal. To us, that means that is your goal. Okay. So I understand that in construction or an ownership of a property, they want to maximize however much money they can make. To be honest with you, in my opinion, they are not that concerned about Lower Gwinnett, and they probably don't live in Lower Gwinnett. We are, all of us here, we're all concerned about Lower Gwinnett. Everybody here and everybody up front, we're concerned about Lower Gwinnett. When you speak to people in the township about, what we can do with that space, I'm not sure if you said, hey, how about if we take away the giant food store, the store is right beside it, and we put mixed use there, and we populate it with more homes in that area. I know when I talk to people and saying there's a proposal to change that location to mixed use, which means the giant goes away. That proposal that was out before shows that the giant goes away. That's where I shop. I'm sure that's where a lot of people shop. So if that goes away, where's everybody going to shop at? Where is the community going to shop?
So I just want
First
to,
off,
can I just,
Yeah, of
just
course.
really quick? Jamie, can you bring up the definition of mixed use? I think it's on the second page of the memo and highlight it. And I want to start off by saying this plan is up into 2045. If you look at our 2020 plan, of that plan, we probably accomplished 5 to 10% of it. Not even, but I'm being generous. What the plan does, it gives us the flexibility to have a conversation and to address zoning so that we're not being defensive. So we can take the offense and saying, if in some alternative time frame in the future, strip malls are deteriorating, Giant wants to move, we don't need to have a conditional use plan come before us. We've already identified that this could be mixed use. So you could transition not necessarily to residential, but institutional, service, office, and that's all allowable in this zoning right now. Right now, the only thing that it can be is commercial, which is what it is, which is identified for. It gives flexibility within the parameters of zoning. We still will have to go through an internal conversation with Lower Gwinnett residents where we have to define it, we have to articulate, we have to change the zoning, And we have to determine what that will look like for Lower Gwinnett.
Mhm.
But I don't want everyone to harp on the idea of residential. I know residential is scary, and that illustration scared people. It doesn't mean Giant's going away. It might mean that there's not going to be a strip mall in the same way we see it, and there might not be Sherman-Williams. Perhaps there's going to be an office space there. Perhaps there's going to be an emergency vet there. Perhaps there's going to be a whole host of other things that currently right now are not allowed by our current zoning. So we are allowing other industry to realize the potential shift that they could move towards with the existing structure, with the existing buildings, or change it.
Mhm.
But that's what we have to talk about and define. I think everyone jumped to, I saw that picture and that's what's going there.
Yeah.
That is the most extreme version of what could happen. And it gives us the parameters to talk about. Now we have to say, are we okay with that? Or what do we want to define it in a different way? So I understand that the emails that you guys got and the communication that you got was meant to alarm you and to cause panic and to cause alarming.
Sure.
That is not what the plan was designed to do. The plan was designed to allow us to consider what other zoning could be there. We know that certain things that existed in the past aren't really available now. And maybe we're moving away from box stores or brick and mortar as it relates to certain type of retail and certain type of service. So this would allow an office space to be there.
Right.
This would allow other institutional kind of things to be there that aren't allowed right now. So that a developer would have to come to us with a conditional use, and we have to go through a hard process for them and a hard process for us. And it's kind of not a good use of our time. So we want to plan for the future, and we're planning for 2045.
Right.
That was what the hope is. And I get that you may have been misled by others that communicated things in a very, our pants are on fire kind of way.
Mhm.
But that isn't really what was transpiring. Like, our pants are genuinely not on fire.
Okay. So one last,
Let me say one other thing.
yep.
Nothing might change at the Giant. Nothing. You use the Giant, I use the Giant. If there's demand for the Giant will stay. You believe in sort of the capitalist model, and I'm sure you must, we all do, right? If the people want the Giant will remain. If the Giant is no longer viable, the Giant will go away, whether we use it or not. Nothing may change with the Giant Shopping Center.
I
Having
believe
this in the plan we have no control over what a developer is going to want to build or not want to build.
So I've spent my career in construction. I understand construction is all about time and money. I understand that. And they want to maximize however much money they can make at a certain area. I understand that. So that's why I believe if we give them the opportunity, they will take full advantage and put as much volume as they can in that space. With that being said, the other thought in my mind, and I believe a lot of the community's mind, there are other parcels throughout Bethlehem Pike that are empty and have been empty. And I know it's you can't fill it. I understand that. But if we don't hear any talk about getting that developed, and when we hear about new spaces to be developed for, you're going to put a restaurant there, you're going to put shops there. We have empty spaces throughout our community that we would love to have that filled. And I'm sure you would as well, but that's what we hear, losing a Giant, converting this space. And we don't hear much talk about the other spaces, the empty spaces getting
It's
filled.
the same exact zoning.
Yes.
It's the same exact zoning that we're proposing for the Giant that we're proposing down the rest of the Pike.
Yes.
Okay, I get you want to stop the Pike at 5 Points, right? Where the gas station is. We have sidewalks that run all the way down and up through the Giant.
Yeah.
Okay. We're addressing in this plan the exact areas that you want to address, but not just those areas. This plan addresses 4% of the township, just 4%. Okay. That's it.
It's the heart of it though, you know? It's the heart.
Do you-
Be right
you-
across the street. And the proposal of those buildings that we saw before, that would, in my opinion, a huge eyesore for our community, putting 5-story buildings and parking garage right across the street.
Go ahead.
You live right across the street from where the Giant is?
Yeah.
So do I.
I know.
Okay, so do you think I
I know.
want something that's going to be, you think I want what you believe is some eyesore? I don't want it either, Tony.
Mhm.
Okay, we live in the same neighborhood. And like most of you, we're all neighbors here.
Yeah.
We all want what's best for the township.
Mhm.
Okay, we may go about it different ways. There's not a single person up here that doesn't want what's best for the township. There's not a single person up here that doesn't want to see Bethlehem Pike filled with restaurants and shops and stores. We all want that. Okay.
Awesome.
We may not
I
agree on
appreciate
how
that.
to get there, but we all want the same thing.
And
I
I
appreciate
think
that.
I want to articulate that Mr. Tursky and I served on the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee. There wasn't really anyone in the crowd that said this illustration depicts what we want to see in Lower Gwinnett. I want you to understand it. They were presenting to us the most extreme way that mixed use could be utilized there.
Yeah.
That's not even what they were recommending. They were showing you, like, if you wanted to transform it, it could be transformed to that degree. We were more thinking like, hey, a vet could go in there, or hey, it could be an office space then instead of just Sherman Williams. And no offense to
Right.
Sherman Williams, but I'm just saying, like, in 10 years, in 15 years, it gave us the flexibility so that we don't have to be on our heels and wait for a developer to come forward and say, hey, I don't know if you remember Clemens. Do you remember Clemens? Do you remember down below when you could go on all those stores that were in there and there was a carousel and everything, and how you watched it die, and how much it was fun to be down there and see all of the stores closed? We don't need to wait for the stores to all shut down and be shuttered before we can actually say, this can be something else. You have the flexibility to make it something else. It doesn't need to be residential. We give you the option because we understand as times have changed, a lot of developers are saying they can't make the money that they need to make to sustain a brick and mortar without some level of residential. But that's not exclusively what it is. And we're not even gearing you towards that way. We're understanding the times. We're trying to be proactive. We're trying to make it so that they don't always have to come in front of us and ask for an exception and ask for conditional use, ask for a variance. These things are allowed. And what that does is help the individuals on Bethlehem Pike to see you don't have to come before us every time you want to do something. Make some changes now. We can't force the property owners to do anything, but you have flexibility now in the zoning. So it entices other people to say, hey, like Lower Gwinnett has some nice people there, and they like restaurants, they like beer gardens, they enjoy a breakfast spot. Like, we can do that now. We don't have to come in front of the board and go through all those hassles.
But in the same breath, it's the same owner that owns that property. If he wants to change it, he can come to you and say, can we change this zoning?
He
for a
can, or
profit,
somebody
right?
can come to him
Rather-
and say, I'm going to buy it from you because you're not utilizing it. I'm willing to pay the money and I can see how to make this a profit here.
Okay. So you're looking for a future
We're looking for a
owner.
future beyond what's happening right now. We're trying to not just look for it, we're planning for it. And we're have a kickoff planned on June 9th where we're actually going to talk about it because we spent good or better part of a year
Mhm.
just talking about Bethlehem Pike and how to entice people to come to Bethlehem Pike. It was more than a year, but
I've been on the board for 4 years. Danielle's been on the board for 6 years. Okay, 7. The rest less than that. This is what we inherited.
Mhm.
Okay. Nobody tried to change anything on Bethlehem Pike. Nobody tried to bring in stores. Nobody tried to do anything. Okay. It's not going to get better if we don't do anything. Okay. If we maintain the way it is now, it's only going to get worse. And if you don't think that, look at all of the dying towns around us. Okay. We've got to do something.
In the same breath, I believe that we don't want to lose Lower Gwinnett, the open space, and we don't want it to be too compact.
1,000%.
4% of the township is what the comprehensive plan deals with.
But it's dead
4%.
center. It's dead center. It's right across the street
There's
from
no
here.
open space there, Tony. There's no
Well, I'm just
open
talking about
space
right
in
across the
Lower
street here.
Yes, we
You
don't
know,
own any of it, but there is no open space there. We're not touching any of
So
our existing
no
open
compared
open
to
space.
space at
being,
the
it
Giant.
being condensed,
Say it
you
again?
know, how that mall has
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's open.
Mhm.
Okay. The proposal of the changes that were made, that were drawn up
Mhm.
in the Giant location was very, very condensed.
Yes.
So
And that's what we,
That's what you're
myself,
reacting to.
yes.
And
that's
then
what we
while
don't
it,
wanna
while it
see.
may seem that that person was acting nefariously, I'm actually quite glad because it got everybody paying attention to a comprehensive plan and we were getting very little turnout.
Mhm.
While they were misrepresenting what actually was happening and what we were doing, it made you understand that we need you to be a part of the process. We're trying to make decisions that are going to be on a larger scale, that are going to guide us until 2045. And we had very little participation comparative to the number of individuals that live here. And so we were having to make those decisions without a lot of input. We need your input. Again, that was the most extreme. I don't want to speak for anybody else on the board. I don't want to see a 5-story anything there.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. I'm just telling you that. Not that there's a plan before us, not that developer said that that's an interest of theirs. I would think it would be an eyesore. The same way I can't stand to drive down Butler Pike and see Ambler Savings Bank. No offense to Ambler, but it blocks the sun and it's not the view that grew up seeing when I drove down Butler Pike. And it's a stark reality and it's right there in your face. And so I say all that to say that we need you to be a part of it. We need to have part of the conversations, but this is our plan. And so it's very, like, we need engagement.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
I don't know, I think somebody's had their hand up, but you can come on up.
Oh.
No, he already talked once, so you come on up and just, I think you have to hold it up.
Yeah.
Make sure it's green. Is
Hi,
it green?
I'm Mary Scott, 919 Chesterfield Drive. So I agree 100%. I think you guys need flexibility in what you're doing. I think what scares us is we see BET already executing the mixed use plan or wanting to execute it. And so I think when you see, if the map that you put up there was nothing else going on in the community. Pete Penna's thing wasn't on the docket.
Mhm.
And you just said, listen, the reason we've changed this is because we want the flexibility. And I don't disagree. You should have it. You should be able to put a vet. You should be able to put, another Abington health thing. But I think what people, and this was the miscommunication, is like, well, wait a minute. Here's the plan, not approved yet. Here's BET coming in to Norristown. And I live across from Giant, and I mentioned this the last meeting. I mean, I've been there since it was Jesse's Motel. So
Mhm.
I appreciate change.
Mhm.
As much as I, don't really want Jesse's Motel. I mean, I appreciate the change. I remember Clemens. My
Mhm.
kids went to Clemens when they were in elementary school for their field trip. So change can be good, but change has to be done smartly, right? And Carol, when she got up and gave us the history of Lower Gwinnett, which was very interesting, that happened over a long period of time, right? That was 200 years. And that happened with railroad and with cars. And so, yes, it felt, I'm sure to her and her generation, she had the benefit of having generations. It was so dramatic, but it happened over a long period of time. And I think for me, what I see is like, oh my God. And I'm glad because I want to get involved. Like I want to come to meetings. I didn't even know, all this kind of existed. So I'm kind of happy and I love to be a part of this. And I think you have our best interests at heart. But I just want you to understand what happened was the plan came out. We heard BET on Norristown. We heard, because I can walk the Giant, BET is going to do the same thing. Then the J&J article came out. And so we're all like, wait a minute. It's 500 cars. That's 500 cars. That's 500 cars. Bethlehem Pike can't be widened. Sumneytown Pike, you guys already did that. I mean, and that really helped a lot. But unless you're going to exercise eminent domain and take over homes and really widen Sumneytown. So I think that, you hear people talk about pieces, but if you look at it in totality, that's what the problem is that we hear you say 20-year plan, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like it's tomorrow. And I don't oppose what BET is suggesting. I think out of everything in our community, that's probably the least offensive location. It's there, it can get off and on. We have to do our part to allow different types of housing. I wish they could be less expensive. I have two 20-year-old kids. I mean,
Me too.
they can't afford what those prices are. And when you looked at the demographics of the promenade, that was 50 plus. So like I said, I appreciate their presentation. I thought was good. I thought they did some thoughtful changes. They listened to the community. And I think what they present is nice looking, and it's back up. If you come down 309, you even forget that that's up there. But so I just wanted to kind of put that in some frame of reference for you guys. I think the problem is it all feels like it's hitting at once. And hearing you say nothing's happening to Giant. That's just kind of,
I know, it
that-
sounds flippant, but it's not.
no, but it's helpful because you have to bring the temperature down.
Yeah.
The temperature's up right now, and I think the temperature needs to come down. And I think logical heads, when you give people time to think about stuff, would say, all right, we don't really want it because nobody wants more traffic. But that one location for BET, we could see the community accepting that and seeing how that works its way out. But that, when I talk about change has to be good change. And change shouldn't be done 1, 2, 3, 4. If you do one thing, you have to see what that really does to traffic. And this is just a side note, in their traffic study, which I reviewed, you know, they show the differential between what the traffic would be if the apartment complex went in, and they compared that to what it is currently. And they said the differential would be the traffic differential. And that's actually how they computed their, I forget, it's not a fine, but what they would have to give you to help with road improvements.
Traffic impact fee.
But their total capacity assumes both buildings are fully occupied. They're not fully occupied. So they're 100 and, I'm just going to make up the number. I think the differential was 180 more cars. It's not 180 more cars, it's plus 90 because one building's vacant, right? So you have two different things. One is their calculation, probably under the regulations for how much they owe you and what the true traffic impact is. So anyway, that being said, I think for you, my suggestion is help us bring our temperature down. Again, agree. Like, we understand. Nobody wants to do Bethlehem Pike unless they get some more volume. We get that. I think what Pete Penna did on Bethlehem Pike looks nice. I know some people are probably going to like throw daggers at me, but that's good change. Right? It looks great. So I think that's the problem. And I think also that people, and we hear you, but it's this idea that the fact that you labeled, and I think everybody's sensitive about the Giant because of the amount of traffic that little zone can get. And, you know, just kind of as a frame of reference, Springhouse, just Springhouse has, you had mentioned we have like 12,000 residents in Lower Gwinnett. 4,000 of those residents live in Springhouse. But Springhouse only makes up 28% of the property. So there's a disproportionate amount of people per land in Springhouse. There's also a disproportionate amount of companies in Springhouse versus the rest of Lower Gwinnett. And I think that kind of speaks to the one gentleman's kind of talking about like density. And so what I do in my head is say, J&J's full, which is going to go through, you know, let's let BET do their thing. Let's let Pete do his thing. And now what happens if BET comes back and says, we want the same thing. That was successful. We made $40 million. We're going to do the same thing. At what point do we say, is it worth it to the community? Because the traffic becomes so unbearable. Like how do we get to the goal that we all want? We want to be able to walk. We want Bethlehem Pike to thrive. How do you balance that and get there? And that's all of our roles. It's not just your roles. It's ours to give you our opinions on that. But so I just want you to know, it has helped me to come to the meetings. I was probably 100 degrees when I came to the first meeting because I was like, oh my God, what's going on? What are they doing? And I'm much more tempered, and I'm glad that I'm able to come and get the information, and I will participate, and I'll come to all the meetings. And I'm encouraging my clients and my friends and my neighbors to do the same thing, because you should want to take part in your community. So I don't want to take up any more time, but I just wanted to frame that. I think the reason you got so much of that, oh my God, is because the plan plus what I just said.
Well, I think that's really helpful context, because I think sometimes, because we're doing this, every week we're having meetings and we're discussing these issues as they're coming through the process, and we're reaching out to the public to try to get input. Sometimes we might not realize how everything's lining up on a calendar for the public who maybe didn't know, doesn't sign up for the emails, doesn't come to the meetings, to your point, and then you feel like you're getting hit all at once. So I appreciate you putting that into context. And I hope everyone remains engaged, because that's really what we're trying to do, is get feedback from the community more consistently, especially now because projects are coming up seemingly more often than in the past.
Well, it's the new trend. I mean, you see it, right? Ambler train station, across from Fort Washington. You just see it. It's just what's happening in general, right? And in our world, Montgomery County, right? But just like the gentleman on Zoom said about Philadelphia. I mean, it's just, but it is our community, and we get to kind of drive the bus, and how much is good and how much isn't. And it's funny, because I wanted to get some more history on Lower Gwinnett, and so I ChatGPT'd it and said, give me the history and let me understand what Carol was talking about, because I wanted to understand like how it changed and what's changed. And it's interesting to see how it categorizes Lower Gwinnett. Lower Gwinnett is almost fully developed.
We are.
Right. So that's, if you read that, but again, so that's the kind of, things happen, Temple's might sell Temple Ambler. What's going to go there? So, you just there's always some. Anyway, I don't want to take up any more time. I appreciate everything.
No,
you
I
guys are
appreciate you
doing.
coming back. I do remember you
Yeah.
from the first time. I
Yeah.
remember what your comments
Yeah.
were. And it's good to see that you have come down.
Yeah.
So, and I think we can blame a lot of that on the hysteria that was created.
Yeah.
And there's a lot happening all at the same time, and that can generate and fuel hysteria. I want you to understand, though, that we are not trying to hide any decision that we're making from anyone. We're trying to be as transparent, as open, and as engaged as possible. And we want feedback. We want participation. I think it helps us move forward in a more productive way. And so I'm really happy to see that people, again, went out, researched on their own, got some more information, came back informed, and asking follow-up questions, because I think that's the best way for us to move forward together. I see one person online.
Yes. Hey,
Mr. Thomas?
Jim Thomas from Lamplighter Lane.
Before you start, could you hear better?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
Is there a difference with mixed use versus mixed use and residential? The reason I ask is because if you have a mixed use with residential, the developers, as you've seen Bruce told, they pick the largest parcels and go with that because it's the most economical. And I fear that if we give the Giant Center and Whole Foods the same mixed use residential, then we are going to get the Philadelphia style proposals. But if we keep that as mixed use non-residential and put the mixed use residential along Bethlehem Pike near Rich's Other Place and the other diners, then we can have that area actually built out the way we'd like it, or the way it seems like our community would like to see the Bethlehem Pike developed first, rather than having huge places go up over the Giant and in other areas where the large parcels can be converted into large residential towers.
I appreciate that feedback, Mr. Thomas.
So the question is there a mixed use non-residential designation that could be that we could use in our long range plan to designate the Giant?
No, in our plan, it does include residential.
Could we change it
What
to
that
not,
would
to
be,
mixed
what
use
that,
and
what you're
non-residential?
saying, without the residential, you're just talking about commercial. So the difference, I put the two, or I asked staff to put the two definitions up there so you could see it, mixed use and general commercial. The only difference is the addition of the residential. I hope that helps.
One office.
Okay, then again, if it's possible to keep the giant as commercial, please consider.
Yeah, no. I couldn't hear the last thing you said. I'm sorry. What did you say?
Oh, I said, if
Oh,
it's
you want us to
possible,
consider.
keep
Oh, you
the-
want us to consider. Okay.
if it's possible, please consider keeping the giant as general commercial and allowing the mixed use residential to be along Bethlehem Pike, um, down to in the downtown center, I guess, of Springhouse. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any additional comments or concerns? Questions?
Ed McBurney, 1205 Kingsley Court. I just want to say that I am encouraged to hear some of the feedback that I heard from the Board of Supervisors tonight. I think one of the things that caused the angst and the 100 or 120 degree or 200 degree temperature was, and maybe I'm misunderstanding this, is that the Planning Commission, my understanding, voted 5-1 against what BET is proposing. And then this was still coming. I could be misunderstanding this, so please correct me if I'm wrong. But then the Board of Supervisors is still considering it. And I don't understand why that would be if our Planning Commission suggested 5-1 that it was not.
So I think you're talking about Berkadia, not the comprehensive plan. So we're talking
Correct.
about.
I'm talking about
No, so
Berkadia.
just to give you the
But that
history.
adds to,
Yeah.
you know, this whole thing hit us all at one time.
Yeah.
And we saw what Montgomery County put up there.
Mhm.
Quite frankly, I think that's what they would like to see. However, that's an opinion, and I
Mhm.
understand that.
Mhm.
So I think that was purposeful on their part.
Okay.
But that added to the angst and what was going on. And I am glad to hear that there is that concern. And this is the first of the meetings that I've attended where we've heard more from you as the board in terms of what you're thinking and how we're getting closer to being on the same page. And I appreciate that. But I also think that's what caused it. And so my question again is, why would this go further if the Planning Commission voted 5-1 that it was not a good
So
idea?
I'm going to answer the Berkadia question for you.
That's it, the Berkadia, sorry.
Yeah,
That's
so
what-
that happened, I forget when the plan was submitted, but it did go to the Planning Commission, who I think did vote 5-1. And then it came to the Board of Supervisors. They presented the plan to us. We heard the public and we had like a public meeting about it. We have this board, I can't speak to other boards, have kind of gone back to developers and said, there's nothing for us to vote on. We're not moving forward. We're giving you an opportunity to hear what our community is telling you about your plan. And then you can let it die. You can decide to revise it. You can work with our staff to interpret what you heard and see if you can come up with an alternative. Those are the options that you had. We said we would recommend that you go back and take what you've gotten from tonight, maybe work with our staff. That could be an option, but we didn't vote on anything. And so what happened is they then decided I guess this is what they decided. I don't know. This is my opinion. They went back and decided that they would come up with a different plan. And so they came back in front of us and said, we heard you. It took us a year, I guess, or a little close to a year. This is what we revised. We took all of the input. We went back and we talked to the community. We talked to our near neighbors. This is what we're presenting. And so they brought that back to us. And as a courtesy, we allowed them to come back to the board first. Now they're going back to the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission is going to decide if they can make a recommendation or if they cannot make a recommendation and move forward from there. And to be fair, I want to make sure that everyone knows that our Planning Commission voted unanimously to support our comprehensive plan.
Right, and the one thing I'll add is, and I know you were at the last meeting for the
Oh, I sure
comprehensive
was.
plan. And your question of why would the board vote for something if the Planning Commission voted 5-1 against?
Right.
Well, when we raised 2 meetings ago that the Planning Commission approved the comprehensive plan 5-0, somebody came up and said, but you appointed them all. So, it works for you, like it works it works when it suits your argument, but it's the same issue, right? I mean,
Well, I didn't hear about the 5-0 thing.
for the
They
comp
did.
plan,
Yeah, they voted 5-0 for our comprehensive plan.
the last comprehensive
not
plan with
this
the high,
version.
for the high density
Said
mixed
high-
use at the
high
Giant.
Yeah. But they probably understood what a comprehensive plan is and had a little bit more context than the general public did. They knew it didn't mean that we're changing the zoning. They
Right.
knew it didn't mean that we're defining this way. They understood that it was a plan, more than likely. And I think you guys got misinformation, and so we had to try and do our best to explain it. But also, we wanted to bring the temperature down, some of us. And so we decided to eliminate the actual wording so as to calm everybody's nerves just a little bit. So
Well,
the,
And I am more encouraged about that we are going to be on the same page together trying to work through this. And I think that's what came out at the meeting today, and I appreciate that.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I don't know if there's any, oh, you can come up, if you can come up, ma'am, you just have to state your name and address.
Iris Farag.
I think if you can just hold it because the
Yes,
people
ma'am.
online can't hear you.
Sure. Iris Farag, 1208 Carriage Circle. I think today is a better meeting. It's clearer. Okay. After the last meeting, I left quite confused. There was too many vague unknowns. It was too general, especially when I heard certain things like we don't really know what mixed use is because it comes in tiers, is based on what I've read. You know, the mixed use could be medium, high, whatever, and you know, that's not specified anywhere. But I like the fact that you guys said we want to, the reason for this long range plan is to avoid when the builders come and ask for whatever, then at least you know, hey, you know, this is beyond what you can ask for. So it minimizes the conflicts or whatever and speeds up the processes. So it is important for us to clarify a little more, give a little more specifics in this long range plan. And a plan is just a roadmap. It changes as you go along. It changes as your residents change. And I get that. But you still need some kind of a guide. And what proved that is the Berkadia project? Because then you looked at the plan and you looked at this project, and I tried to compare it. And there were some discrepancies. For example, where it says high or medium density. In the plan, it says we're going to prioritize Bethlehem Pike, and then second comes Norristown Road. Fine. Then if you are going to take Norristown Road first, are we really sticking by what we wanted with the character, with the sound, with the traffic? And I know we didn't do studies yet, but I guess that's where I'm confused. Does this plan really mean anything when it's not clear and specific? How do we use it to guide us when we're looking at newer projects?
So Ms. Duggett mentioned this earlier. This is a high-level plan about what the township could look like.
Yes.
Where the details are is in the zoning ordinance.
Yes.
So in the next year or so, we will be revising our zoning ordinance because it is really out of date.
Okay.
And again, I encourage everybody, sign up on the website. You'll get notice of our hearings. Come to visit the website. If you don't want to sign up, and give us your email address and you'll see what's going to be on there. We'll have public meetings about changes in zoning. So then when we talk about different areas like the Giant, we will talk about and ultimately pass something that talks about the density in that area. Whatever it is, I'm not going to characterize it high, medium, or low because that just increases the temperature. We'll talk about that another time. That's not what this comprehensive plan is supposed to do. That was never the intention of it. We'll get to that. I promise. We're
No,
gonna
I
get-
get
So
it.
a
I'm just
comprehensive
wondering
plan
how
is,
we
it,
use that.
but a comprehensive plan is very different than another type of plan. It's just about land use.
Yes.
That's all that it is. And it's supposed to be extremely high level. You're not supposed to get detailed and you're not supposed to be specific. The zoning ordinance, some of our zoning is over 60 years old,
Mhm.
older than Mr. Tversky. And so we need to revisit it and we need to address it.
It's really
And
pan
we need to update it. And so part of the plan, it helps guide the updating of our zoning. And that's when you
And
need to
that's what a
come.
plan
That's when
should
you
be.
need to come
Yes.
and that's when you need to talk about what you want to see, what you want and what you absolutely do not want. And what we can do to encourage redevelopment on Bethlehem Pike, and we'll say from Veterans Park down to the BMW dealership, because I think that is everybody's focus. But we don't own the properties at all. And so we have no say as to what the individuals who own those properties are going to do with those properties. All we're trying to do is incentivize, we're trying to encourage and plan for the future should there be or want to be change. Does that make sense? And I don't know if anybody else on the
I
board.
understand all that. It makes it, that's what it's supposed to be. I get it. I want to know when a new project comes along, for example, the one in Norristown, how do you're going to have to use your long range plan as, here's the long picture, here's the short picture. And therefore, does it sway in any way from the long range?
So I think the uniqueness is this came a year ago and we heard the public. The public came out and voiced their opinions, some for, some against, and shared with us that this is not the way it's being presented to us right now. We're not comfortable with this. People gave very specific feedback. Some people gave very broad feedback. And I think what that did is allow the developer to absorb that, process that. And what he decided to do, or they decided to do, is not let it die, but to come back again and see, hey, is this better? Does this make sense? Could this work? Without a zoning that defines those things, that's the process for us. They came with wanting to change our zoning and do conditional use. If it was allowable within our zoning, they would simply be coming to present to us plan and looking for any relief that they needed to look for, if that makes sense. So it's a much more arduous process for us, time consuming, for our staff especially, that they have to kind of meet with and talk to and kind of manage the expectation of the developer because we haven't defined any of this stuff.
Okay. I was just hoping that the long range plan can really assist more.
That's our hope too.
And cutting back on the back and forth and the time that is being spent.
Thank you. Is that it? I'm not sure if that hand is a new hand. Is that the same hand? Same hand? Okay. Any additional questions or comments from the public? You can come on up, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Linda Caligari, Claudia Way. I was just looking up at your big sign here, your plan, and the very last sentence of general commercial, it's auto-oriental commercial uses, and this is only appropriate when located near the intersection of Welsh Road and 309. And I'm trying to think about where the township's boundary is, and if it's on the right-hand side on 63, I don't see where any of that could happen. It's on the Montgomery County, whatever town it is, Montgomery or
Is it
Horsham,
Yeah.
Horsham, on that side of the street. So you can't dictate what's,
This is our definitions right now, correct? So this is how it's defined currently in our 2020 comprehensive plan. Oh, in the draft plan. Is it, but I think it's also, is it also in the 2020 plan? I know that it's regulated to a small area.
Probably because the only areas in the current plan that are shown as commercial is the giant up there around Precision Watches,
Yeah.
and then that little area off of Railroad Avenue,
Yeah.
near Ambler Yards.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Ambler Yards is shown as industrial, I think, right now.
Oh, okay. So the only ones that are showing as general commercial, I think, I don't know what the color is.
Orange, I think.
Is that orange? I don't know if we can zoom in, but it is right up there between Welsh and 309.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so on the Lower Gwinnett side, there's Evans Road and two houses, three houses. And then you
Precision
have,
Watches is up there, and there's a couple other
right, there's a medical
offices.
office. Yeah.
Yeah.
But on the other side, there's
That's what's
Darden
shown.
Drive, and then there's the circle for PennDOT for people to turn
Mhm.
and get off. So there's no real development potential on that portion of 63.
Mhm.
But on the other side, so that's an island over there because you have the northbound lane if you wanted to, it's a jug handle.
Mhm.
And after that, it's residential till you get to Johnson and Johnson. So you think that's pretty far away from 309. So I'm wondering why that's in there because it
I
just,
think that this is from my vantage point, and again, I'm confused. I've read the 1987 to 2020, and then this one, all within this last week. And I think it was related to the areas, what we know now that is developed. I don't believe that it was developed at that time, and I think it was giving the opportunity for that type of commercial business to exist. Should it change hands, that is where we're saying would be most appropriate.
and so on your, the Bowen memo on traffic lights for Darden and Evans Road, does this concept of the development get impacted in the decision on how to develop those lights and the timing? Because the traffic is
That's a
such a big-
Chad Dixon question.
Yeah. Again, what you're reading is from the comprehensive plan. Again, really big
Right.
picture.
Right.
The Bowman issue with the lights is a real short-term
Right.
issue that we're addressing in the next month or so. And
Right.
Chad could probably answer right behind you if you
He's
want.
coming up, he's sneaking up behind.
So
you.
what was the goal of that idea? So that, we understand.
We'll let our
it.
traffic engineer explain it and traffic engineer speak.
Hopefully not too much. So the memo that was in the board packet tonight, that is simply for the township to implement equipment upgrades at the intersection. So it runs a little more efficiently. So as Mr. Tversky explained, that's really just a short-term improvement to upgrade some of the outdated equipment at the intersection. In terms of timings, if there's ever any development along the Welsh Road corridor or near it, timings of those lights would have to be taken into consideration as part of those projects.
So there's no more traffic or not as much standing traffic on 63.
Yeah, one of the goals with the equipment upgrades is to address more of a near-term issue with trying just to improve the traffic flow a little bit from what it is currently by replacing some of the equipment like the detection systems so the signal timings work more efficiently. Yes, that's all one system. Yeah.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none. Oh, absolutely. You can just come on up and state your name and address. You have to hold it so the people online can hear you. I'm sorry. Just pull it out.
Can anybody hear me? Can they hear me? Or
They won't be
They
able to-
can't until you hold.
now can you hear me?
Yes,
They can?
we can hear you.
Thank
They
you.
can't.
My name is Kerry Levinson. I live on Cedar Hill Road, and I'm one of those very old residents. I'm a third generation Lower Gwinnett Township resident. And I've watched the township grow. The only reason I'm getting up is I think that first of all, the people that have spoken, I thought, have made a lot of sense. And so I just don't want to repeat what they've said, other than to emphasize the fact I think that lowering the temperature is very important. And I think you're doing that. I think the second thing I would like to emphasize.
Can't get anything out of this screen. I can't.
I'm sorry?
No, I think somebody accidentally unmuted themselves. No worries. Go ahead.
Am I okay?
You're good. You just have to,
Okay.
you just have to talk.
And I don't think anyone doubts that you're trying to do what's in the right interest of and the best interest of the township.
Mhm.
The question, the only point that I would raise here is this. The comprehensive plan has impact And if you're going to designate in the comprehensive plan, the giant site, just using that as an example, to be mixed use, it will be zoned.
Well, I can't,
Mhm. I
I'm
hear you.
used to this.
I hear you.
have
No worries. I'm
grandchildren,
sorry.
partners.
Just ignore it.
I'm very used to this.
Okay.
So my concern is this, and I think you did. You
only
tried to.
thing I have on is a map.
You're gonna have to keep muting them. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, it says you cannot start your video because it is disabled by the.
You have to stay on mute. Okay? All the people online, please stay on mute. Aunt Gloria, you're unmuting yourself. Please mute yourself.
Oh, I don't want to be on saying.
You're on, you're unmuted. You're in.
I did,
you're unmuted,
I
Gloria
did
Jones.
try, I did put,
Gloria Jones, we're gonna kick you out the meeting.
This is very familiar.
I am trying to unmute, but.
No,
go-
no,
Go
no.
on to
No,
someone
no.
else.
Don't unmute. Just mute yourself. There we go. Stay muted. Okay. Sorry, sir. Go ahead.
If you've been on a Zoom call, you know exactly what's
Yeah,
going on.
I do.
In any event, my point is only this, is that I've seen the comprehensive plans before, not just here, but elsewhere, and they carry weight. When a lot of thought went into it, a lot of planning went into it, we spent a lot of money on it. It will influence the decision on what to zone, or, which parcels to zone in which category. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So if we leave here tonight and you zone the giant parcel as mixed use, it's going to be zoned as mixed use. So my thought is this, is that, and what you've tried to do, I think, is to leave it unspecified. So it's unclear, right? That it may be mixed use, but whether it's high density or medium density or low density is open for later decision. My thought is, given the feelings of the people who are expressing their views here tonight and at the earlier meetings, that site would not be high density. Is there any possibility that you could designate it
Yes. So
as I'm sorry, no, go ahead.
we removed all labeling of density
I know
from the
that.
entirety.
And-
So there's
and I
no
wonder-
density.
My concern about that is that invites developers to come in, right? And also to suggest that it be high density as well as low density.
Yeah.
But if the feeling in the community is that it ought to be low density for whatever use it is, and I recognize what I'm saying, sounds like I'm conceding that it ought to also be mixed use, which I recognize is open. But my point is that if you designated that in the comprehensive plan,
You have to hold it. I'm sorry. You have to hold it right there.
can't do.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
If you designate it in the comprehensive plan as being mixed use, my suspicion is it's going to be zoned mixed use. But is it then possible that we could also designate it as low density? Now, I recognize that what you've done is you've removed those definitions in an effort to try to sort of take out some of the complexity. I keep doing that.
I know. It's okay.
But would it help, given the views of the community, to take perhaps take special interest in that particular parcel and designate it as the intention of the board, as evidenced in the comprehensive plan, that it be low density?
I'm only going to speak really quickly, and then I'll let Mr. Twersky speak. My opinion, and this is because over the last week, I read the 1987 comprehensive plan, the 2020, which I was very familiar with, and then our current one. I think that there was a whole lot that was in our comprehensive plans that we didn't even touch. And when I said 5 to 10% maybe was acted on, I'm being extremely generous. Different owners came in and purchased properties and changed the use different from what was articulated in the comprehensive plan, and came before the boards and asked for conditional use and asked for a whole lot of variances and so forth and so on. I don't think that unilaterally we can say because something's in the comprehensive plan, it's going to be acted on. The board, our staff, and our community has to come together to agree. And if we're not agreeing on whatever is in the plan, then we made a determination that right now for Lower Gwinnett, this doesn't need to change. This zoning doesn't need to change, and we're not moving forward. I can say that from my perspective, this board is prioritizing Bethlehem Pike from Veterans Park to the BMW dealership is how I identify it. And so I hear what you're saying, and I understand what you mean. However, we've removed all definitions related to whether it's going to be the density levels. And we've decided when we get to a zoning ordinance, if we decide to move forward with the zoning ordinance, that's when we would have that
Well,
conversation.
But the zoning ordinance will take into consideration what you've done in the comprehensive plan. At least that always has worked that way and elsewhere as well. So it's going to be a guide. And I think that's legitimate. That's a,
Yeah.
you know, that's a great, I think, planning effort. So it's going to be a guide. And so the chances are that if you adopt a comprehensive plan, that particular parcel is going to be zoned mixed use.
If we prioritize that
But
first,
by
yeah.
leaving out the definitions, you're inviting developers to come in, right, and suggest or apply for high density all the way down to low density.
But we're
And so
we're
what
gonna
I'm-
change our zoning before any of that happens. I mean, that's the next step, is to change the zoning to address it. And I obviously
So
sat.
are you saying, let me just ask you, so
Yeah,
are
sure.
you saying that in the context of developing the zoning ordinance, right, that there will be a definition of high density, low density, medium density? Or are you going to leave it open?
I don't know if there's
so
gonna
that
be
every applicant that comes in, right, says, I went high density, and then it's a give and take, it's a negotiation?
I don't know if there's going to be a definition of high density, I don't know if there's going to be that. But what there will be is when we revise the zoning ordinance, it will say what can be built at what density on that parcel. I don't know if it's going to say high density, medium density, low density, but it will have some calculation of square footage of development per acre.
That's what exists now.
That's how it works. And you heard that with the BET proposal. The other thing I want to say, and I'm grateful for everybody that shows up at these meetings, because usually it's those people in that row right there and us, okay? And a couple of people online, usually Ann, Gloria, and Carol. And I heard everything that was said at the last two meetings. And I heard everything that was said at the comp plan meeting. And as crazy packed as that meeting was, it still was a small piece of what we got from survey results. It was a small piece of what we got from talking to people in the community. It was a small piece of what we got from the open house. I hear it. Everybody in this room is upset. They have a certain view. That's not the view of the township. It's
That
just
they're a
not.
small portion, right?
It's a small portion.
But here's the
You
point.
heard, I don't know if you were here at our last meeting.
Last week.
A bunch of people spoke in favor of the BET development. As I said, every time this comes up, I don't have a vote in that one way or the other. But a bunch of people spoke in favor of it. So it's hard to say that this is the view of the township. This is the view of the people in the room. I get that. But to address the other issue, we're
Well,
going to.
Can I
go
just
ahead.
respond
Sure,
to that?
of
quickly?
course.
I appreciate that. But I think that the people who come out have the passion and the interest in it. The people who don't come out have less interest in this issue. So when you talk about an issue and it being the view of the township, the people who care and who are affected most by this decision are here and were at the last meeting. And I
I'm only
appreciate the
gonna
fact-
object to that a little bit, because there are people who have
it's your
said, we've gotten emails. We've gotten emails and we've gotten phone calls from people who feel differently and are afraid to come out and speak because they don't want to be attacked in a room that they know is in opposition to
Well,
their.
that should not happen.
No, and I agree.
But it does. But it does. And it's happened at every
I
meeting
want
where
to
people get.
reemphasize this. I've served on the zoning board for about bit. I recognize there's hostility. We're talking about land use, which is a highly emotional issue. I have no doubt that you're trying to do what's in the best interest of the township. I believe that. I've said it. I will continue to say it. I am sure of that. My point is, though, is that with respect to this, and I think it's always been the same. When people care, they demonstrate that.
When
They
people are
typically come
against
out.
something, they demonstrate it. When people are for it, they don't show up.
That has been
That's been my
consistent.
experience, 6 years on the planning commission,
I-
4
I can
years
tell
on the
you what, the
board.
zoning board
Yep.
was a little different.
It is different.
Zoning
at the
is
zoning-
different.
It is different.
We had,
Just a little anecdote.
With
My
little-
first, one of my first big controversial
You have to
I'm
get
sorry.
closer.
One of my first big controversial public meetings was in anticipation of applying for a grant to put in a trail from the Penland train station to
Which one?
the Penland train station to Ambler Yards. The room was filled with people who were against trails. I think the majority of the community is in favor of more trails and making connections. But that's just an example of no one who I spoke to who said, yeah, that's a great idea. I would love to be able to walk to the park safely instead of darting across Penland Pike. No one came out really to speak in favor of it. It
You
just
know,
doesn't
there are
motivate.
national studies on this exact
Yeah,
issue.
and we see it.
And my understanding, and again, I don't profess to be an expert, but my understanding is in these studies, what they show is people who really care for or against show up. Now, that's not
That's
I'm
not our experience.
I don't intend to refute what you're saying. What I'm saying is there are national studies that you can all reach, and they'll show you this. My whole point is that maybe that's not relevant, who's here, who's not here. What's more relevant is the substance of the issue here,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the point that I'm making is if you designate that particular parcel, and maybe it's a matter of reflecting on the whole comprehensive plan in this context, whatever you do in that comprehensive plan, that's going to carry weight. It is going to be meaningful to the people who are now considering the ordinances relating to zoning. And so I think it's relevant to say that when you talk about that particular site, if you designate it as mixed use, it will be mixed use. The confusion then is what kind of mixed use? And if what you're telling me is that when we consider the zoning ordinance, right, on mixed use, it will be defined?
Yes, it has to be.
That is exactly what we're telling you.
It has to be, and we are the only people that can start the process of actually changing it. So we have to have the will first, meaning us, this board, and our staff. We can't, there's no other body.
Why wouldn't it make sense, though, to think about it in this way? You've heard the consensus of the people. And again, the people who hear, there's a significant number of them who oppose, are concerned, worried about bringing Montgomeryville down into Lower Gwinnett. That's what you're hearing. It's a legitimate concern because people always worry most about their families and then where they live. It gets emotion. Why wouldn't it make sense then either remove that particular site from mixed use? It's a site that people have a lot of concern about, or designated that your preference is that it be low density mixed use.
So
why
we-
wouldn't that make
So I'm only going to
sense
speak,
here?
I'm only going to speak from my perspective. I think I talked extensively about why I wanted it to be mixed use, why I wanted to give the flexibility for it to transition beyond this year, 5 years, 10 years, for there to be able to be a office space, a medical space there, or even a vet, or even a different type of use that's currently not allowed. That's the reason why I would like it to be mixed use. And I think everyone's focused on the idea of residential, but there can be nothing that changes with any of those buildings. It could be mixed use and it allows different businesses to be there, if that makes sense.
No, well, you just said when somebody else raised that question, where you said that commercial's commercial, which is where those uses you're talking about fall into.
So medical
Mixed
offices
use-
are
does
different.
Mixed use in your mind include residential?
It does by definition, but it doesn't have to. It's not mandated that,
It does by definition, but it's not mandated?
correct. Meaning you can
It's
have.
allowed.
It's a, it
Means
just
it's
means,
allowed. It doesn't mean it has to be.
yes, right
Oh,
now,
It's
right
permitted.
now, a vet is prohibited. A medical office is prohibited. Residential is prohibited by definition of the zoning. So they would have to use a conditional use application to put a medical office there or any other type of business there. What we're simply saying is we would like to have the flexibility. This is me, Danielle, would like to have the flexibility in that parcel for it to change with time, to understand that everybody isn't using brick and mortar and service and retail in the same way that they were maybe even 5-10 years ago.
Why does it matter? Again, I don't mean to take up all this time.
This is
The
what, but
question
honestly,
that I
Mr.
have about
Levinson,
that
this is what,
why not just say what you just said? Why do you have to include?
That is what it is.
No,
That's all we changed. We
mixed
took out
use
the density.
includes residential by definition. It does. I
Correct.
know
it
that.
does.
Correct.
I know that.
Okay.
But if what you wanted to do, right, is to include medical and dental and You can do that without making it mixed use.
Correct. We could turn it to general commercial. And I think you and another individual online have said that.
Commercial.
What I'm telling you is that from my perspective, I think mixed use gives the most flexibility for that parcel right
But you're
now.
hearing that the community doesn't. It's
We're not
uncomfortable.
hearing the community, and we're not even hearing you said a significant portion. It's not a significant portion. It's just not. And I don't live as
So
close
what you're saying is these people
No, I'm not
don't
saying,
count.
no.
No.
Why would you
no.
put words in my mouth like
I'm
that?
not.
I didn't say they don't count. You said it's a significant portion of the township, and it's not. Okay, I don't live as close to there as you, but I live pretty close to there.
Say it
Okay,
again, I'm sorry.
I don't live as close to the Giant as you do, but I live pretty close. I live walking distance. Okay, I have no problem with residential there, and I agree with what Ms. Duckett said. Okay, you and I differ and disagree on what should be there or could be there. Now, I think most people in this room would agree that Fairlands, Mr. Penna's building across from the Bergies, that's mixed use. There's residential. I would have no problem seeing that at the Giant site. I think that would be a great use for that. Okay, I don't want to limit what could be there. I don't, and I think it's important.
Wait, I'm sorry. But you favor mixed use.
I favor
The
mixed
Giant
use.
site.
I favor mixed use for Bethlehem Pike because in the 10 years I've been involved in local government, 6 on the planning commission and 4 here, every single developer, and I've talked to dozens of developers about trying to get them to do something on the Pike. Every single one of them says mixed use. That's what's going to redevelop the Pike. Every single one of
But
them.
you know, and again, I'm finished. We can have a conversation, but this
Yeah,
is.
it's a
I don't mean to
township
dominate,
meeting.
but I'll just say this.
But I can't get it right.
She's again. No, look, I think that these things go in trends. And right now, mixed use, I can tell you from what I'm hearing from my partners all over the country, mixed use is the fad. It's going, it's great. And so I am sure that the comprehensive plans all over the country are showing mixed use. Before it was garden apartments. It's always something different, right? All I'm suggesting to you is sit back and think about what all these people, and it's not just these people, it's the last meeting these people are telling, and I didn't mean to suggest in any way that you're disregarding what they're saying. I mean, I'm just saying that when you say that this is a small portion of the township, that counts.
Of
That's all
course,
I'm saying.
everybody
Doesn't matter.
counts.
That's all I'm saying.
Everybody counts.
That's all I'm saying.
I agree with you.
No, absolutely.
Everybody counts.
So wouldn't it make sense to just sort of sit back? You don't have to do it tonight. You can do it next week. I mean, you can do it, right? It doesn't have to be tonight. And you can just reflect on what these people are saying with respect to mixed use and then the particular sites that are involved in. And again, I don't want to take up any more time. I appreciate the time. I really do.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for
See you
coming
later.
out, sir.
And I think this is
Excuse
just,
me.
Ms. Duckett said this at the last meeting. This is our only chance to have these debates. We can't have these discussions because of the sunshine law unless we do it at a public meeting. So this is what this is for.
Hi, Ed McBurney, 1205 Kingsley Court. I just have a question related to the surveys that you referenced. And my frame of reference, the only survey I know of is the one that Steve Eisler put out with the 400 emails, where we got a 23% response rate, 91% were against it. So
I couldn't hear what you said.
so-
Who put out the survey?
Steve Eisler
Oh, Steve
put out
Eisler.
the survey. It was emails for 400 people in the area, 23% response rate, and 91% of the people were against it. That is statistically significant. My question is, when you reference surveys that you've done that take in the entire community, can you make those available? Can you publish them or tell us where they are? Because last week, when you referenced there were a number of people who were speaking out for it, there were about 4. And there were 3 times that many who were against it. I'm just trying to understand more about the surveys and the whole community and what they're saying, because I haven't seen anything.
Jamie, is it on our website? You took it down or it's down?
The surveys were prepared by Montgomery County Planning Commission as part of the comp plan, and the survey results were summarized in
plan.
Claire's
if-
memos. Yeah.
If you look at the comp plan, Appendix 1 summarizes the surveys, I think. the surveys that we put out. I didn't get your survey and I live in the area, so
I didn't get your survey
I
either.
don't know who you sent them out to. Come on up and, yeah, because I mean,
I
I
think
live
we
off,
send-
I live awful close to where this is and I didn't get a survey from you.
So my name's Steve Eisler. I live in Wyndham Woods. So I have email addresses for some of the developments in our community, like Wyndham Woods, Trewellen, Gwinnett Hunt. I don't have it for Stonehouse Farms where you live.
Springhouse Farm?
Springhouse Farms. No, I don't.
I didn't get a survey either, but I don't live in a development. So is
Yeah.
that why you're only for developments? Like you only have
Yeah.
communication for developments? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just on a cul-de-sac.
So I think I think the difference between maybe your survey and ours is that everyone was surveyed by the county. And I think the response rate
In the township.
Yeah, in the township. If you lived in the township, everyone received this survey. I don't know what the percentage is. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but we got about 500 and some responses.
Okay.
And this is not
Okay.
calculating the individuals that came out to public open houses and that kind of thing. I'm forgetting how long this was like over 2 years ago.
I don't think it was 2 Yeah, we had.
Oh, is that why I think it's 2 years?
And I don't, would you be willing to share your survey with us? I don't think we've seen it. I don't know any of the
Jamie has
questions.
it.
You sent an email with the results. You didn't send me the survey.
It would be,
sure.
yeah, it would be
yeah.
helpful to see the questions.
Sure,
and-
sure,
I
sure.
don't know
Yeah,
what
I
the
mean,
questions
Yeah.
were. They have like the methodology you use.
Yeah,
for captioning.
absolutely.
Yeah, we would be interested in seeing that. I would.
Sure. Okay.
Well, was your survey I thought that your email about your survey was strictly about whether people were for or against the BET
That's correct.
development, and that was it,
That's
right?
correct.
So that was the only survey question.
That's correct.
Okay,
Oh,
so
it's
you're not
just one
comparing
question?
apples to apples here.
Oh, that's
Okay.
not.
Do you support the
That
BET
wasn't about the
project?
comp plan.
We were
Okay.
talking about development and the comp plan and broader land use questions was part of our survey. So you just asked that one question?
Correct.
Oh, well, that makes,
Okay.
okay.
But I'll send it to you.
yeah, I'd like to see it. Thank
Yeah.
you. Appreciate it.
All right. Anyone else?
Any additional questions or comments?
Yes, this is Jim. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Jim, since you did talk 2 or 3 times at this moment, there's one individual here in person. We're gonna let him talk first. You just need to say your name and
Yeah,
address.
Pat McCarthy on Carnegie Court, the reserve. The updates on the zoning, when's that going to start? Any idea?
I have
So we have a kickoff.
no
We have a kickoff meeting scheduled for June 9th, only about redevelopment on Bethlehem Pike. That's our priority. That's what we're starting with first. And that is what we plan to do irrespective of the delay that we're now into related to the approval of the comprehensive plan. So we want to move forward with conversations around redevelopment of Bethlehem Pike. And when I'm saying Bethlehem Pike, think veterans down the BMW dealership.
Okay.
So
But you're going to redo all the zoning? All the?
not every single one. We're
Okay.
not really talking about
I think we're
resident.
gonna look at all the.
Oh, we're gonna
zoning.
look
We
at
may
it
not,
all.
we may not
gonna review it
change
all.
everything, but our zoning ordinance is really dated.
Okay.
The thing, this is our problem. It's not necessarily yours. The thing is, there are so many things that we have to deal with. The zoning ordinance is important, but there's 25 other important things that we're dealing with. So we need to address the zoning ordinance, and it's going to take a while to get through everything. We may not change everything, but we're going to look at the zoning in the entire township. And I'd say, Mimi, the next year or so.
Couple years probably. So we're kind of looking at it as 2 phases. So June 9th is our kickoff event. It will be widely publicized when we figure out exactly where, in the evening, 6, 7 o'clock, something like that. But we want to get some input on what seem like easy, obvious changes, like you can't have outdoor seating on Bethlehem Pike. Like there's some things we know definitely need to be changed in the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
Our thought being, let's get some of those easy changes where there's a lot of consensus, work that through because it's still going to take months to do that, but at least maybe start building some momentum on Bethlehem Pike while we spend a lot more time on the more complex issues, which is defining how density would be enacted in the zoning ordinance. You regulate density from a whole lot of different ways. It's not one definition. It's how many units per acre can there be in residential? What's the height? How much impervious surface? A whole lot of things. A lot of that stuff's going to take more time. Do we want to see physical aesthetic improvements, streetscape improvements on Bethlehem Pike? What does that mean? How much does that stuff's going to take a couple years. So we're kind of looking at, we don't want to hold up the easy changes while we dig into the harder changes. So that's the general plan.
Okay, but June 9th is a kickoff for,
Kickoff to get public input on what do you want to see on Bethlehem Pike. So help us get started on that.
and that's going to be publicized.
We will widely publicize that.
Okay,
Yes.
that's great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Thomas, I think it's you.
Well, I was wondering if the lady who kept coming on wants to speak before me.
Oh, no, no. She doesn't. She's just participating.
Okay. All right. Yes, after hearing everybody speak about how they want to develop the certain section of Bethlehem Pike from the BMW dealership, it seems that changing the and hearing your views of wanting mixed use but not necessarily residential at the giant area, I think it would behoove the Lower Gwynedd community to approve just that for the giant, where it's mixed use but non-residential, because I really fear that if you change it to mixed use residential in the giant, the developers are going to run to that spot before developing what we really want to develop, which is the Bethlehem Pike near the BMW dealership to Springhouse Tavern, etc. So again, I reiterate, please consider not approving residential in the giant area and just keeping it mixed use, non-residential. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Anybody else? So I know that this was supposed to be a discussion. I don't think that there's anything explicitly for us to vote on. Do you need us to do something explicit?
So if you ever want to approve the comp plan, and I really hope you do at some point,
Yes.
we need to run this through the adoption process again. It can't change then. Are you comfortable if we do that? Do you want to vote on it, or at least
Do you
just
need us
nod
to
at
vote
me?
on it? I thought
I
we
don't need you to vote on that, but because we've already continued the public hearing until June
June
23rd. So I just want to make sure there's nobody wants to consider any other changes to the draft comprehensive plan as it's been revised for all the changes we've already discussed.
Do you want us to take a roll call, or do you want us to talk about it individually? How would?
Let me put it this way. Does anybody want to speak up now and ask me a question or tell me a change that you want to the comprehensive plan?
What would the process be to change the giant to commercial? Like, what would be you said if you're adopting it as it is now, there would be no change. What would be the timeline and process?
If you all
that
agree
change
tonight
were to happen?
that you wanted to change the designation in the future land use plan for that giant shopping center from mixed use to general commercial, then I would want to vote to change it. And we could just tell the county to make that change before we run the draft plan through the adoption process, which entails sending it to the school district, sending it to all the adjacent municipalities, sending it to different people in the county, goes to our planning commission, comes back here for the public hearing. I need to know what version of the comprehensive plan you want us to run through the adoption process. So that's if you want any changes, then we should discuss that first of all, and then I would need a vote for that.
You want to discuss it?
I'm in favor of it being general commercial and not changing it to mixed use based on community conversation and input. So.
Okay. Anybody want to have conversation about it? Discussion?
I am in favor of keeping it with the mixed use option for all of the reasons that we've already talked about.
I think I talked about it a whole lot. I'm in favor of keeping it mixed use.
I think there's confusion between mixed use and density, right? So keeping it general commercial doesn't mean that some store that's going to bring in a ton of vehicles into the area, that still can happen, right? I think if with the flexibility with mixed use is it can also give us the flexibility to bring something in there that we can try and control the density. And I think when I think we're just pitting it in a view that there was fear out there saying there's going to be this big complex that's going to go in that's going to house all these residents, which wasn't true. And that's where everyone's mind is right now. Just because it says mixed use, it doesn't mean we're going to bring in this big apartment complex. It's possible, but it's also possible that a huge superstore can move in there and bring in even more cars,
Like the
right?
King of Prussia Mall is commercial, you know, that.
And I think
To your point, Jimmy, like it
Yeah.
could be dense. It sounds like the concerns from the community are primarily traffic based and then a density in terms of like obstructing the view, changing the look of that town center. So whether it's residential or commercial, I think the fear still stands I mean, this board does not want to see that either, for all the reasons we've already talked about. We all live here. But whether it's mixed use or commercial, I don't think alleviate those concerns. It just alleviates the idea that there would be a apartment building, but there could still be like a mall of stores or office space to drive, you know, development and traffic.
So I think, yeah, so I think,
I think
but
that's your
exactly,
point,
it is.
right?
And that you said it replies it much better than I did. So
No,
thank
I
you.
was just agreeing. I was
No,
agreeing.
yeah, no, I think we should look at, as everyone stated, look at what's going in and really analyze it to see how it's going to impact the development in our community instead of drawing a conclusion and then going back and trying to prevent that conclusion from happening. I think really the issue is we don't want a ton of cars in our streets that we can't move, but no one here wants that. And by marking this as mixed use doesn't mean that will or won't happen, or not marking it mixed use won't mean it will or won't happen. All that will mean is there's no flexibility in that property. But what we want to do here is we want to try and control the growth of what happens in Lower Gwinnett Township. And we want to control it in a way that's going to also still make it attractive. And that's what we're sitting here, we're trying to do that. And that's why I think we should have some more flexibility so we can have interesting, investors in our community. And we also can still control it, from getting out of hand. But if we limit the options, we still, an owner still can come in and create a ton of traffic that we won't be able to have any type of control on. But we're just trying to we're trying to have some control over it by also providing more options. So there could be other ideas to come in and develop that property instead of only way is some big company investor can come in and pack as many stores as they can to bring as many people into their stores. That's just kind of the view I'm looking at it. And I think we're confusing mixed use with mixed use equals high density. I just think that confusion is there.
I'm
So
just gonna.
public
Oh.
comment has ended. So this
Sorry.
is just more discussion. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for that context, Jimmy. I think the way to control this, I think the plan does provide for optionality on the target zone of Bethlehem Pike. And in my view, the way to control it is to keep that commercial. So I don't think more optionality as far as adding residential in that zone is necessary.
And I just want to articulate just to share, even if we do keep it commercial. Doesn't prevent a developer from coming before us with no parameters, with no guidelines, and introducing residential, introducing a whole host of things. But what it does is,
It guides us, it's the guide for
yes,
the change, the zoning change.
correct.
Right.
So I think that they're, and I'm talking about 2040, 2035, 2032. I think it's going to be hard for us to develop without considering residential. And that's based on the feedback that we got at that advisory committee from the developers in the room, the developers in Lower Gwinnett, and just conversations with developers. But that's my perspective. I don't know, Mr. Twersky, do you want to share?
I said at the last meeting that I didn't think the Giant was appropriate for high density mixed use. I think it's appropriate for mixed use. As I've said a bunch of times tonight, that's what I think based on all of the things we've read, all of the people we've talked to, that's what's going to be the best way to redevelop the Pike. I take a sort of wider view of the Pike than just the intersection to the BMW dealership, but I'm in favor of the comp plan as it is.
Do you need us to vote?
I would like you to vote now, given
Okay.
all of that. If somebody could make a motion to authorize staff to repeat the adoption process for the comprehensive plan as currently revised.
But first, I want to see,
I would
Andrew, do you
appreciate
want to make a motion? Do you want to make a motion based upon your, no?
Sorry, what was that? Make a
So
motion.
we're gonna, I'm gonna make a motion for us to adopt it as it is.
Right.
Just hearing the anecdotal, but if you wanted to make your motion, you have an option.
I would be a nay to adopt it as it is.
Okay, well then don't say
so,
anything. Yeah,
yeah.
let me actually make the motion. Um,
I get choice, does she want to make a motion to change
Yeah.
what the form it is right now?
That's what I was giving, but she said.
Got it. Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah,
Okay, so
Change to
Thank you.
have the, yes.
Do you want to make a motion? That's what I was giving you the opportunity before we went
Sure,
through the
sure.
adoption.
Okay, motion to amend the draft plan from the giant parcel that's currently designated mixed use in the draft plan to commercial, general commercial.
Is there a second? There's no second. Motion does fail. So what I would make a motion to is to draft, am I basing it on the April 14th meeting, this current meeting, this version of the draft comprehensive plan? The proposed revisions, including in the Board of Supervisor meeting dated April 14th, 2026. I would make a motion to go through the process of advertising and circulating, public notification and review related to the plan as presented in the April 14th, 2026 Board of Supervisors meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Sorry, this is just to publicize the plan?
No,
To
it's
do
the whole thing.
adoption- To
The
do
whole-
the
Oh.
adoption process for the plan
Okay.
as is now.
You're in a nay.
Okay, there we go. Thank you guys so much. Okay, on item 2.
Oh my God.
Next up, we have consideration for resolution 2026-07 around the land development for the Goddard School. I believe that we have Farrell Townsend representing Timothy Knox.
Yes,
Can I pronounce your name wrong? I'm sorry.
it's Pharrell Townsend.
Pharrell? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. See, you know what? Okay. Never mind.
Well, good afternoon. I represent Beth Pike LLC. The managing partner is David Goldstein. Unfortunately, he's unable to be here tonight due to illness, but we do have our engineer and architect here today, both John Smith and Joel Commander. Just a brief overview of where we are here. Beth Pike LLC owns 820 Bethlehem Pike, where they have constructed and operated a Goddard day school there. Back in January 11, 2026, the zoning board, they approved a use variance, which will permit them to extend the Goddard school into the back of the lot. One of the conditions of the use variance was that we would apply for land development. However, on February 19th, 2026, Kate Harper, who represents Beth Pike, applied and submitted a request to waive land development. Before here today, we have a resolution approving the waiver of the land use of the land development application. And on March 18th, the Township Planning Commission, they submitted a recommendation to approve the plan. And so today we're here for that application.
Thank you so much, sir. Is there any questions from the board?
I just have a question. The planning commission recommended approval of the waiver request to the board at their March 18th meeting with the condition that no additional waivers be granted, including tree replacement. I don't know, and I think this is a question for our solicitor. I didn't see in the resolution that there would be no additional waivers. Is that something that just wouldn't be in the resolution?
It would not be in the resolution. This is a waiver of land development.
That is correct, that your client's not going to seek a waiver of anything else.
Correct.
Any additional questions from the board?
I just have one question. There were 2 review letters from our engineer and our traffic engineer with some comments. Have they been addressed, or will they be addressed?
Yes, certainly. Are there any particular comments in particular?
I'm just pulling it up right now. There were certain construction details that needed to be provided for sidewalks, fences, gates, crosswalk and ramps.
ADA ramps, yeah.
Spot elevations included in the plans with slope of the ADA ramps. Revising the plan to include location of the inlets in the rear parking lot. So this is Gilmore's letter dated March 13th, 2026. So I would just suggest to the board, or at least hear from you guys if you've received those letters and you can comply with those requirements, because we can make that a condition of our granting of the waiver of land development, because I don't know that we have another bite of the apple, right?
In the resolution.
Okay.
Everything, right?
I just want to make sure they're,
Yes, so those conditions have been addressed, and I
Okay.
have Joel Commander here if you have any specific questions.
no specific questions. I just wanted to make sure that they were being addressed.
Any additional questions? I just had one question about the trees. I just wanted to make sure you're not seeking a waiver for the trees. So the tree replacement, now I'm trying to find it in the letter. Jim, do you remember? Is there tree replacement requirements?
I don't think it's in.
No, I think it was something
Was it in
about
the planning
showing-
commission?
It's
Maybe.
in the planning.
Number 5 was.
Oh,
So I think the place where they're putting the walkway to connect the 2 daycare uses is an area where they had previously planted trees. And I believe our comment was that those trees should be relocated somewhere else on the property.
Okay. I think it was in the planning commission letter.
Yeah,
So
and
you're
they-
comfortable with doing that?
So my name is Joel Commanda. I'm the engineer for the project. And just to clarify, we have not addressed these comments yet because we're waiting to make sure what form that submission needs to take based on your action tonight. But we are comfortable we will be able to address them. And specifically the relocation of the trees, we're aware that will need to be done, and we'll find another location for those trees.
Any additional questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, thank you so much for coming tonight. We have before us the consideration resolution 2026-07 approving or considering a waiver of land development for the Goddard School. I'd like to make a motion to approve. Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You don't have to stay if you don't want to.
Thanks.
We're sorry about what happened earlier. We didn't know. We didn't know. It's our fault.
Actually early night. We got to number 2 by 9.
We get home by 11 tonight.
Impressive.
The next step on our agenda is the consideration of appointing a conflict attorney. Included in the board packet is a memorandum from our assistant township manager We have received a zoning hearing board application for a use variance to permit a veterinary clinic at a property located at 1111 North Bethlehem Pike with the Springhouse Village Shopping Center owned by Penn Florida Realty. The applicant is represented by the same firm that represents the township. As a result, the Board of Supervisors needs to consider the appointment for a limited basis for this matter. Legal representation, conflict counsel for legal representation or guidance be needed in connection with this application. For consideration, John Wackel from Kilkenny Law is being considered for that conflict counsel. Are there any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to appoint John Wacko from Kilkenny Law as conflict counsel for Penn Florida's application for the Springhouse Village Shopping Center. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is a conversation that we're hoping to have related to the March 24th, 2026 presentation about the Penland Gwynedd Memorial Playground concept. I'm going to turn it over to John.
Why'd you just call me John?
Just
Madam Chair?
because.
So after the March 24th meeting, we took the presentation that was the concept for what could go in place of the McCormick House that is there now to recognize the Penland/Gwynedd/Worcester School. We had the concept presented by our architects. We left that on the website and invited the public to comment on that for a couple weeks there. Got about 7 emails in. 3 of them came in just straight out supportive. 2 of them came in with some concerns. There's some confusion in those concerns. They're mostly looking at the $2 million option that we had rejected. They thought was still on the table. Once I kind of cleared that up, they were supportive. And the other 2, one was asking for more fencing between the batting cages in the house, which was a good suggestion. We've already talked it over with township engineer. And we also had someone who said, please just spend as little as possible, demolish it, do nothing else. So in all fairness, that's 100% of the emails that came in. We also put out an offer and a request for folks to give us their stories about the school, pictures, diplomas, artifacts, anything they had. We have started to receive some things. I want to especially recognize the Moore family and the Stewart family. We've received pictures and articles and some stories from them. I'm going to be talking to Miss Gloria Jones, we heard from earlier on Friday, to get her side of the story. And I also want to extend my thanks to Carol Jones and Carmina Taylor. They have been fantastic with helping to engage folks and coordinate some of this stuff. So what we would like to do as a staff at this point is give the public one more opportunity to weigh in tonight. And then we would ask the board to authorize us as the staff to prepare an application for the Greenway Trails and Recreation Program grant from DCED. It's a $250,000 grant. And the idea is that the grant application would include the concept that we saw, which would include removal of most of the existing house, except for some of the foundation walls, building the playground, the picnic area, and everything that we discussed there, and the memorial signs with the looking glass markers. Any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you so much, Don, for the recap and for compiling the feedback that we got and being engaged and talking to the community and gathering those stories and getting that information. I don't know if there's anyone here in person or online that has any feedback or comments that they didn't share. We're going to give you an opportunity as soon as we get the board to kind of give their feedback and their, I guess, thoughts on next steps and the consideration for us to move forward with the grant application.
I think this is a lot of work has been done and connecting with the community. And I think this is a great way to try and tell this story to as many people as we can. So I'm support moving forward with the grant application process.
I am support as well. Question is, there's only, I'm assuming, a limited amount of the history that we can tell, stories we can put up on the looking glass and on the mural and so forth. And there may be some information, some stories that aren't included. Will we compile everything and say like I don't know, a book or whatever, just so we can memorialize and have these stories just live on within our township?
Yeah, I think it's something we can definitely do. Absolutely.
As Ms. Duggan pointed out, I'm the oldest guy up here. So I don't know about a book, Jimmy. How about like a QR code where you can scan and go to something? How about this with
Look
technology?
at you.
All right, all right, all right.
Look at you, QR code.
I read that on ChatGPT.
Yeah, I'm like, how do you use it, Mike?
I don't know. I do sort of just, I guess, giving a nod to the person that wrote in to try to spend as little money as possible and sort of reached a place in my deep dark heart. To the extent we're going to use, are we going to use existing walls of the building?
The idea is that, yes, we would retain the lower part. So imagine it's something like knee high of the existing portions of the building so that we would incorporate, and they wouldn't really be part of the foundational structure, but they'd be kind of incorporated like the play structure above that, kind of integrated into the sides.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I guess that's all, it's an old building, those are old walls. If that's going to wind up costing us more money, significantly more money, I just would say we should give some thought to what I like. The idea is great, but if it's going to be a significant expense to shore up those walls in some way, I'm not sure the value's there. Or as somebody said earlier, the juice is worth the squeeze. But I love the idea. I think it's great. And I'm in favor of going forward with the grant, obviously.
I am absolutely in favor of going forward. I don't want us to limit ourselves to a book necessarily. I love the idea, Jimmy. But I think a web page allows us to evolve, allows us to capture more information, and a QR code could send people there, and we can add as people maybe come forward. And then in that vein, I know that a good amount of people do live in Lower Gwinnett and may have that history or that connection, but I'm wondering if there's people that don't live in Lower Gwinnett anymore that have a history or connection and have no idea that we're doing this. So I made sure to include sharing information with the Wissahickon School District so that they were aware that this was happening. But do we want to kind of send this out as a call to anybody that may have attended the Worcester School or the Penland School that may have some information beyond just our website and our email blast, but to like papers or to like news outlets to say, hey, this school was historic and it was unique in its time because of X, Y, and Z. Do you have a connection or a family member or anything that you want to send in so that we can capture some of the history? I'm just thinking that it wouldn't really hurt to maybe ask. And I know that people disperse and move away and maybe have no idea that this is even happening. That was just a thought and an idea that I had, but I absolutely am in support of us applying for a grant to move forward with this project. I just don't want to limit our focus and our engagement to people that maybe still are around Lower Gwinnett or have some connection with us as a community, realizing that they could live anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? Anybody else? No? Seeing none? Okay. Thank you so much, Don, for
Thank you.
all your tireless work. You and all of the rest of the staff that have put efforts and concerted thought into this concept. I would like to make a motion. Let me see.
Wait, public, we need public.
Oh, yes, we do need public comment. Does anybody from the public have any comment? No? No? Okay, sorry. Okay. I'm going to make a motion to authorize staff to proceed with the grant application as it relates to the Gwinnett Penland School Memorial Playground concept. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, guys. Next up, we have the consideration of a ground lease with Rise Up Towers for a cell tower in Penland Woods Park Maintenance Area. Mr. Twersky?
As I noted, every time this comes up, I must recuse myself from consideration and I will step off of the platform.
So included in the board packet is a memorandum from our township manager articulating on March 30th, 2026, the Orphans Court Division of the Montgomery County Court of Common Pleas issued an order approving a ground lease between Lower Gwinnett Township and Rise Up Towers. With that order in hand, we are free to approve the ground lease. The ground lease is included in our board packet for review. Are there any questions or concerns related to the ground lease as it appears in our board packet? Any questions or concerns from the public?
Yes. Thanks.
If you could just state your name and address again, I'm sorry, Mr.
Sure.
Thomas.
Sure. Jim Thomas, Lamplighter Lane. The issue of disapproval, there have been some health concerns about these towers located close to residential areas. Has the township or the county discussed those questions? And is there a method of raising those questions or saying no to the tower?
So I think at this point, and I'm going to say this is a few years ago, we had to do an environmental impact study. The organization Rise Up provided that to us. I don't know how long ago that was, but it was discussed.
2023.
2023? 3 years ago. It was discussed at a number of meetings, conversation was had, and we had an environmental scientist come before us to provide all of the information related to the health impacts that cell towers provide or could provide or what they don't provide. And we had a meeting in which people were able, the board as well as the public was allowed to ask questions and get answers. So
And
we
that
did,
the information from that is still on our website. We
It
have a
is
whole
still on our
page about
website?
the cell tower. If you just Google cell tower on our page, it'll take you to it. And at the bottom of that is information about cell tower safety. It has been studied extensively, and we have links to sites that confirm that there's not a health risk from locating the cell tower.
I don't know if you're able to hear Mr. Thomas, but if you do search cell tower on our township website, it'll take you to that study, take you to the health risks, and very good. Okay. Any additional questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to approve the ground lease for Rise Up Towers for a cell tower in the Penland Woods Park Maintenance Area. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up is the consideration for advertisement for the bid for the Welsh Road traffic signal upgrade is included in our board packet. Is a memorandum from our traffic engineers firm related to that they are seeking to authorize to advertise for bidding of the construction work to be completed, the traffic signal upgrades for the following roads and intersections, and they list them around Welsh Road and Evans Road, Welsh Road and Darden Gwynedd Crossing. The anticipation is that bid, when they're going to advertise for the project scope in May or June of 2026, and they anticipate that they would be making a recommendation based on a bid award in June of 2026. Are there any questions? And construction would be completed by the winter, spring of 2027, just for context. Are there any questions or any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the advertisement of the bid for Welsh Road traffic signals at Welsh Road and Evans Road and Welsh Road at Darden Avenue, Gwynedd Crossing, Acres. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up is related to our 457 deferred compensation retirement plan. And this revision is the consideration of our existing retirement savings plan to allow loans. The memo from our township manager and our finance director articulates that this was something that we had previously in our previous adoption in 2025. We neglected to approve it, and it's going back and rectifying that at this point. Is there any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2026-08, amending the 457 retirement savings plan to allow for loans. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Included in our board packet is our invoice report for April 14th, 2026. Are there any questions from the board? Any questions, comments from the public? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to approve the April 14th, 2026 invoice report. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Next up is the minutes from the meeting of April 7th, 2026. Are there any questions, concerns, or edits related to those minutes? Seeing none, are there any questions, concerns, or edits from the public? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for the meeting of April 7th, 2026. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Supervisor liaison reports may or may not be in the board packet, but you can review them at your leisure. Staff updates.
Several of us have spent an hour in the afternoon and then an hour in the morning watching school traffic recently, trying to come up with the magic bullet to address traffic concerns around the middle school and the high school. So we'll keep noodling with that. No pressure, Chad. And see if there's anything short-term or long-term suggestions we can make to the school district.
Thank you. Any additional?
I would just add, with that, our drone guys did drone video, which was able to show like, all right, it's backing up on Houston Road. Why? And then we could see the traffic. You got an aerial view.
Oh, really?
I think Chad would agree. It really helped. Instead of just standing there looking at traffic, we saw the traffic. So drone came in handy for that again. I promised Mimi if it was after 9 o'clock, I wasn't going to give any updates, but just real quick.
We're here now.
I've been trying to say this for 2 weeks, but you've gone past 10, so I did. 2 weeks ago, the accreditation people with three chiefs from out of the county came and studied our department. We're up for reaccreditation this year. Got a letter today that we're on the agenda for April 23rd. For approval, that we have to go out, and the accreditation yearly meeting is April 23rd out in Harrisburg. So we'll attend that meeting. Hopefully be reaccredited. Accreditation takes place every 3 years. Every year we update it, but every 3 years they come out. And what they verify is there's 140 standards for accreditation. We don't have canine and we don't have self-dispatch. So that takes us down to 127. And we have to prove that all 127 standards, that we're meeting them and we follow them. So the recommendation today is that we will be approved for accreditation at the April 23rd meeting. So I'll hopefully have good news at the next meeting, or I won't come. That's it.
Thanks. Thank you, Chief. Any additional staff updates? Okay, Jim?
Just quickly, the Old Bethlehem Pike Bridge project is wrapping up. They're going to be final paving this week, guide rail next week, and then with any luck, by the time you guys meet again in April, it'll be open to traffic.
It's awesome. Awesome
Wow.
news. Thank you. That's a pleasant surprise. Any other comments, questions? Fred, you don't have anything? Okay. Andrea?
No comment.
Janine?
Nope.
Janine?
Just real quickly, Chief Kennedy, I just want to thank you and the whole police department just for an experience I had over the weekend. On Sunday, my son's flag football team, their practice or their games changed just, I think, for this Sunday from Lower Gwinnett Elementary to Penland Park, and parking isn't great there. And at one point it was getting out of hand, and then the police arrived, they calmed the situation. It was Officer Towney, and he calmed the situation down. It could have got out of hand, but what I saw was I watched about 10 or 15 minutes, and it seemed like every 30 seconds someone would say hi to him by his name. He'd respond. I saw him shake hands and hug multiple people, and it's just amazing how he really created such a strong connection with our residents. It blew me away. So I just really wanted to thank you and just let everyone know that it's amazing how the connection he's really made with our residents. So
Awesome.
Done. Thank you.
I just want to share, Janine and I had a chance to go out to opening day last Saturday. And it was perfect weather. It was perfect weather. And it was a great opportunity to highlight all of the changes that are done to our Ingersoll Park. It's actually quite magnificent. And I'm not trying to prolong the meeting in any way, but I remember how it looked 20, 30, 40 years ago. It looks phenomenal. The paved sidewalks, the asphalt, the snack stand is it's an amazing snack stand. It's not the best I've been to, but it's really close. the speaker boxes are clean and like even the bathrooms. It's just an amazing experience. If you haven't been out to Ingersoll Park, if you have not been out to the ball field, this is the time of year to go out and enjoy some snacks and support our Lower Gwinnett Little League and support the kids. And it's just a fun time all around. So I just want to congratulate all those involved in getting that done, from our Lower Gwinnett staff, our engineering, our Park and Rec board, and the Little League itself. Amazing job. It looks beautiful. With that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All those in favor? Meeting is
Aye.
adjourned.